Jeeves,
Yes, sir.
do you, do you believe our futures are etched in stone?
Excuse me, sir?
Well, do you believe we can change the future? Do you believe in fate?
Well, that's a rather intricate subject for a late night conversation, isn't it, sir? Well, I've always subscribed to that old Spanish saying, sir. Que sera, sera.
Whatever will be, will be.
Something like that. Time travel stories are problematic at best.
Whenever you mess with time, and movies and books love to do this, you always create paradoxes.
Once you can time travel, where does it end?
There are usually things that they go unanswered or they just don't make any sense. So I thought I would sit down and write a story that kind of dealt with these paradoxes. I had written the story originally way back in the early 90s. It was one of the first ones I actually wrote for the TV series Twisted Realities that we were doing at the time. And unfortunately, it was one we never got to. And I know one of the problems with it was we didn't know how to build the time machine.
The time machine, some of the controls, I wanted to base it on an old sci-fi show that I always liked called Space 1999. I always liked how their control panels and some of the hardware that they used on that show. I always thought it looked really good.
Anybody out there that knows Barry and I, we're not exactly builders, I guess you would say. So the first step, of course, we sat down and thought, well, what do we want this time machine to look like?
We came up with a couple of designs first.
The first one was kind of classic.
It was kind of going to look like the time machine at one point from the old classic H.G. Wells story.
Basically a chair, maybe with a wheel behind it, some lights.
Then we kind of morphed it into kind of a big rectangular square.
More of a phone booth looking thing.
But then I was in Mike Clark's garage one day and I saw his weight bench over in the corner.
Barry kind of sketched it out, and I did where there would be more of a main control panel.
I wanted to try to design something where it was basically, as far as dimensions go, I wanted it to be flat, like up against a wall.
It looked good on paper. We stuck pretty much to the plan, but as we got into it, we again realized that there was a lot that we had to not so much compromise on, but it was a little difficult skill-wise. I think the only thing we had to buy was the background pegboard, but the rest of it is stuff Barry or myself collected from our various jobs or what we saw. There's a lot of styrofoam pieces, a lot of cardboard that's been painted to look like metal. I know there's a dryer tube in there somewhere. Christmas lights, lots of Christmas lights, blinking and flashing, stickers. But at the same time, we wanted to try to make it look as realistic as we could, which was fun, and with lighting and everything, I think we pulled it off pretty well.
Do you want a time machine?
You got it.
We've built a time machine.
Well, coming up with characters is always, for me, one of the most fun parts of writing. I kind of wanted to do, like I said, it was a time travel story, and I almost did base it a little bit like the H.G. Wells story, where it's a group of friends, but they're also businessmen, and they all have little business rivalries, and each one is kind of a different personality. You have a buddy Rob Kimmer playing kind of a nosy butthole of a businessman. He is always putting the others down. He's a little bit older, a little bit wiser, but at the same time he's really rough around the edges. Herb Henderson plays another one who is more of the kind of the peacemaker of the group. He's got the sense of humor. You're not sure. And then myself and Preston, we're business associates. We've been in business for a long time, and there's this again, a little bit of a rivalry between us. Kind of Preston is obviously, his character is obviously smarter than my character and does more, so that leads to my character being kind of jealous of him. And I guess with all of them, I wanted to show just distinct different personalities.
I played Jeeves in this story. There's a little history behind Jeeves. I also played Jeeves, this butler, in an older episode of a public access television show that we did many years ago in the early 90s called Twisted Realities. It was a show kind of like, if anybody's familiar with any Department 13 history and productions, it was a television show that we were involved with on a public access station. It was kind of like the Twilight Zone or Tales from the Dark Side or Outer Limits or something like that. And we had an episode once called Murder Musical where I played a butler to a very rich man named Van Owen, and it was a murder mystery that we'd filmed that was a musical that had songs in it. So yeah, Jeeves. I made a return as Jeeves in this because Mike wrote it in there and wanted a little homage to the old show, and so it's Jeeves is there, and a reference to Van Owen is in there too in the first scene where they're at the dinner table. So that was fun. Jeeves got a little older and a little grayer and had a beard now, so he's changed quite a lot since 1991.
I played Jack Neville in Paradox. I am Preston, or Martin Edwards is the character's name, business associate. And I don't really trust my partner so much. I don't think he trusts me, I should say. And when I discover the time machine, I want to know what it is, and I can tell that he doesn't want to tell me. So my character takes great interest in it. And then, of course, at the end, I figured out what it is, and I'm going to use it for my own evil purposes.
I was worried about it at first because there's a lot of time travel in this, and we filmed a lot of it out of sequence. We would film, obviously, when he uses the time machine in this, he'll eventually meet himself, or he'll see something that happened a few minutes before. So we'll have to shoot it, and he'll have to look over and see himself doing something else. So that was hard because I was trying to make a mental note a lot about it, and I was also trying to keep it written down in notes too, because it's only about 35 minutes long, or give or take a minute. But still, that's long enough to mess something up if you edit it wrong.
The budget on Paradox is pretty much the budget that we have for all our stuff. Whatever we have in our wallets at the time turns out to be the budget. The most expensive thing, of course, was the time machine, and even that didn't cost really anything. The pegboard was, I think, $15, and then we bought some lights and stuff. So overall, $50. So I guess that's a small budget. Roger Corman would be proud. Well, I can honestly say I am quite pleased with how Paradox turned out. Seeing how how it was put together. Director Barry King did a great job. It's a very talky piece, and I realize that. So the direction helps move the story along, so I'm quite happy with that. And I think all the actors did a great job, had a good time with that. And then finally, after Barry and Herb went in and did some of the special effects, that was just icing on top. And I have to say I'm very, very happy with how it turned out.
I don't have a lot of desire to go backward in time. I would probably go forward, which might be scarier, because what's going to be waiting there? But I think forward in time. I'd go forward in time, definitely, probably. Maybe. I don't know.